This episode is brought to you by Stouffer's. Here comes three-time juggling champion Natalia Rogers. She's juggling law school, her TA job. Oh, narrowly catches the laundry. What's that fourth ball? Parents unexpectedly showed up at dinner time? Is that too much for Natalia? Not with Stouffer's Chicken Alfredo and its mouth-watering mix of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. When you're juggling four things at once and the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
There are many things in this life that are unjust, unfair, and simply completely wrong. But not since someone thought that pineapple on pizza might be something worth trying has something been so utterly incorrect. We stand before you today to right that wrong, to call out the BS and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Spaceballs is not that bad. Welcome one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies. Hello to all of our listeners in Crumlin, Northern Ireland, and around the world. How the heck are you guys doing? You know, there are times when I take a look at a movie's rating on Rotten Tomatoes and I shake my damn head. I shake my damn head because there's no way in hell that some of the movies that we talk about on this show, we should even be talking about on this show, because there's no way that they should qualify. And yet, here we are today, standing before you in front of our microphones, speaking to your ear holes, because somehow, some way, Spaceballs qualifies. And here to join me, also in abject horror, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, but the ear hole you speak of, was that the same one, the path that they took to fly their ship out of?
Quite possibly, yes. Although technically speaking, that means that they actually went in one ear and out the other.
Ah,
right?
Yeah.
Mega Maid is that dumb. But here we go. Spaceballs. This has to be, every now and then, right? We come across a movie and there's no way it qualifies. And you look it up, it's like, no, it doesn't, because it's that good, right? And then you look it up and go, wait, whoa. How does this one qualify? So when you discovered that Spaceballs is a qualifier for this podcast, how blown was your mind at that?
This movie was like the gateway drug for Star Wars for me. I watched this movie growing up. I saw this movie before I had ever actually seen a Star Wars movie, a proper, it's true. I'm being completely honest here.
Dear listeners, just know that since marrying me, I have completely and utterly rectified that situation. She has watched every single Star Wars movie because that's what we do in this household.
But the point is, this movie has etched itself into my childhood and become a part of me. So the fact that we are talking about it, the fact that it qualifies for this program that you have created to defend the little guy, to defend tiny Darth Vader. But his Schwartz was the same.
It was the same size. Yes, it was.
You know what? It is.
One size Schwartz fits all.
It is not fair. It is not fair. I need to know, why are we even here? Why are we talking about this movie?
Normally, we'll sit there and say, okay, the critics might have been a little bit wrong on this, or the critics were off the rocker on this one. Like, I don't understand. Now, this, by the way, is actually the second Mel Brooks film that we have talked about on the show. The first, of course, being Dracula Dead and Loving It. Now, I understand that not everyone's comedy style is for everyone. You know, I think we've said it on the show enough times. Carrie loves Adam Sandler. And thank God I love Carrie, because I'm not the biggest Adam Sandler fan, right? Same thing with Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell movies don't necessarily always do it for me. Mel Brooks, I like Mel Brooks movies. I do. But I understand that there are some who aren't going to like them. I get it. But dear listeners, George Lucas even liked this film. And it's spoofing on Star Wars. So I don't know what the critics got up their butts, but we're about to find out. But before we do, it is time to take this comedy classic and trailerize it.
Behold, Spaceballs, the Trailerize. Your one-stop shop to find out why a laundry dryer shrunken Darth Vader knockoff, a president who sucked all of the oxygen out of the room so much that their planet is in crisis, and an endless stream of assholes will attempt to annex the air from a planet so peaceful there's a prince who sleeps through everything and everyone is fine with it. But here to save the day are two guys driving around in a beat-up Winnebago. Honestly, it's the best the galaxy can do. No sci-fi is safe from the malevolent pen of Mel Brooks in Spaceballs. Rated PG for Princess Gripes a lot.
Wow, you went after the princess.
I did go after. We go after everybody in this show, but you know we got to tear it down before we build it back up. But it's hard to make fun of this film, though. It really is. Like this is one of those treasured gems in our collection of movies.
It really is. It's funny. It's clever. It hits all the notes of what makes Star Wars awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything, right? Like everything from the gags, you know, the helmet that keeps falling down,
mm-hmm.
or, you know, I can't breathe in this thing. Like the costuming was perfectly ridiculously on point.
Yeah. But I mean, I also understand that there are people who don't like Star Wars films, just like there are people who don't like Star Trek films. But yet some of those people still like Galaxy Quest. Galaxy Quest to me is kind of like the Star Trek version of this. But this, of course, very much has that Mel Brooks style of comedy. But it is one of those things where I understand that if you don't like sci-fi films, then this probably isn't going to be your cup of tea. I get that. I do. I appreciate it. But even comedy fans can get a chuckle. Like people who don't like politics are still laughing at Saturday Night Live these days. So I get it. But let's get into who is in this film. The movie stars Bill Pullman, John Candy, Daphne Zuniga, Rick Moranis, Joan Rivers, Mel Brooks, George Weiner, and Dick Van Patten, with small roles and cameos by Michael Winslow, Sir John Hurt, Dom DeLuise, Tim Russ, yeah, Tuvok is in this, and Tony Cox. However, there is an almost starring in this. In the role of Lone Star, originally it was supposed to be James Caan, but unfortunately at the time, and according to IMDb, he was struggling with addiction issues at the time, so they ended up going with somebody else. They were also considering Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, and Tom Berenger. So apparently if your name was Tom, you were under consideration for the film. I don't know if I could picture any of those people playing this role.
No, I think Tom Cruise would be too serious, take himself too seriously.
Mm-hmm. Tom Hanks might be a little too goofy at the time. Tom Berenger, I don't see Tom Berenger in this kind of role.
You know who I could see Tom Hanks being is like Darth Vader's number one.
Oh, Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
Well, funny you mentioned that because the original choice to play Colonel Sanders was Steve Martin.
Ooh.
And I could see that. There were lines for Colonel Sanders in this film where it's almost like Mel Brooks had Steve Martin in mind when he was writing this. And then at one point, Ian Abercrombie was pegged to play President Scrooge. That didn't happen. Of course, we got Mel Brooks in the role. But Abercrombie went on to play Palpatine in Star Wars The Clone Wars. So he basically got to do the same role. Of course, the movie is written and directed by Mel Brooks. And here's where I'm about to blow your mind. At the 1987 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, Spaceballs won for Worst Picture.
Come on.
Now, let me broaden the canvas here, because you have to know what this film was up against at the Stinkers, okay? Who's That Girl with Madonna?
That was a great movie.
Right? Doesn't deserve to even be nominated.
No.
Right? But the other three films on the list that were nominated and lost Worst Picture to Spaceballs are on Wikipedia's list of films considered to be the worst. Leonard Part 6 starring Bill Cosby, Ishtar, and the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Oh.
Spaceballs was named Worst Picture at the 1987 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards over the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
My mind is blown.
Like, how? If you don't like this film, fine, right? And if you, for some reason, believe that this film is bad enough to be nominated, whatever. But there is no way anyone can tell me that Spaceballs is worse than Leonard Part 6, Ishtar, and the Garbage Pail Kids movie. How?
I have no words.
Like, there's wrong, and then there's effing wrong. And believe me, this is effing wrong. I don't get it. I don't know what they were smoking at the Stinkers. Like, is this one of those situations where, like, they open up the envelope and they read the wrong name? Is this a La La Land situation?
It could be.
It feels like it is.
Were they watching the same movie?
I don't know if they were or not.
Huh.
But who's that girl? Yeah, I'm sure we could probably go down that road somewhere down the road. I don't know. Leonard Part 6? I remember watching that film. And yeah.
I think we talked about that one.
Yes,
before.
we did. And it's not good.
And the Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, we did a whole episode on that.
Which I didn't hate, but certainly
way worse than Spaceballs. Come on.
Wow.
The budget for this film was $22.7 million. And here's going to blow your mind as well. That is a little more than double what it cost to make the original Star Wars film. Spaceballs cost more to make. But worldwide, it did make $38 million. When it was released on the June 26th, 1987 weekend, yeah, feeling old yet?
Oh.
It debuted at number 2 with $6.6 million. The number 1 film that week, also debuting, was Dragnet, starring Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. But by the way, Dragnet has a lower tomatometer than Spaceballs. It's in the 40s. But speaking of the tomatometer, let's get to the numbers. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, this film has a tomatometer of 52%. So it's close. It's close. It's in our playing on easy street kind of list. But the popcorn meter sits at 83%. Over at IMDb, 7.1 stars, 71%. Letterboxd, 68%, 3.4 stars out of 5. The Movie Database, 69%. But over at Metacritic, the film has a Metascore of 46. Like, I don't even understand that.
No.
Like, if sci-fi's not your genre, fine. If comedy's not your genre, fine. If Mel Brooks isn't your cup of tea, fine. 46? Hells no. Giving this film an aggravated aggregate of 64.83%.
Still low.
Still low. It's a college pass. And on aggregate, this film shouldn't qualify, but we go by the tomatoes, and the tomato is green. The movie could be seen. I don't understand.
This movie is so iconic, and you and I will be one of the first ticket holders and in line
For
when they
Spaceballs
make
too, yeah.
the sequel.
The sequel.
Oh, this is sad. This makes me sad.
Yeah, like, I know we have no problems on this show saying that the critics are wrong because they're critics and they're usually wrong, but I don't know of any other movie where they were so egregiously wrong.
I need help understanding, and I really wonder, I don't know, was it a timing thing? Like, maybe second time's the charm when the second Spaceballs movie comes out. Maybe the critics will be kinder.
Maybe.
Now, maybe.
If you take a look at it, remember when Top Gun Maverick came out, around the pandemic, and the critics loved it. People were saying, oh yeah, Top Gun Maverick is saving Hollywood because people are coming back to the theaters. And I appreciate that it brought back a great level of nostalgia, especially when you realize that Top Gun itself qualifies for this podcast.
Whoa.
Right? I Top Gun.
I love that movie.
Say what you will about it, right? But there's no way that we should be allowed to talk about Top Gun. Sits at a 59% score. 59.
Again, this was in the 80s. What were the critics looking for?
I don't get it.
A serious art piece that spoke, to the masses?
No one is expecting a serious art piece out of a Mel Brooks comedy spoof, but I don't understand at all why the critics would sit there and poo-poo something. Now, I also appreciate that sometimes a movie is better in hindsight, right? It becomes a cult classic.
I wonder, though, if they were Star Wars fans, dedicated Star Wars fans that maybe had their nose out of joint that this movie was a complete spoof. Maybe?
The only thing I can think of that critics might have went meh about is that this film came out in 1987. 4 years after the release of Return of the Jedi. So maybe the time had passed. Maybe the window had closed on getting a Star Wars spoof, but I don't think so. And this film has such a longevity to some of the comedy, and it's still quotable today. Now, I will admit that some of the jokes don't hold water 39 years later. I get it. And some of the jokes, maybe a little too cerebral, maybe a little too over the head of some. I get it. But we'll get into that in a bit.
This episode is brought to you by FX's The Beauty Official Podcast. Join host Evan Ross Katz on the official podcast for FX's hottest new series, The Beauty, taking you behind the scenes with its amazing stars as they discuss the show's most jaw-dropping moments. Featuring Evan Peters, Anthony Ramos, Jeremy Pope, Ashton Kutcher, Rebecca Hall, Bella Hadid, Meghan Trainor, Isabella Rossellini, Jessica Alexander, and Ari Grainer. Search FX's The Beauty wherever you listen to podcasts.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
But let's get to the breakdown. And we start with Bill Pullman as Lone Star in only his second ever movie. Prior to this, he was in Ruthless People. Your thoughts on Bill Pullman?
Wasn't he great? And even today, his son looks so much like him. It's almost weird, like watching
Lewis Pullman,
Bob.
yeah. Bob.
It's literally like looking into some weird time warped mirror. He was so great. He had that scruffiness, that kind of like, I don't know, is he playing like he's drunk, hungover? I don't know, but he had that kind of like, I don't know, lazy, don't really care, not really motivated, and then realized he had a rather large debt to Pizza the Hut, one that he wanted to pay. Definitely did not want to pay with his life.
I do love that Bill Pullman will be in Spaceballs 2 alongside Lewis Pullman. Reportedly, with Bill Pullman returning as Lone Star, apparently Lewis Pullman's character is Starburst.
Aw.
So I kind of like that. But I think there's a problem with this character. And that's the other thing too, right? I know I love the film. I do. I know you love the film. Listeners, who doesn't love Spaceballs, right? So on this rewatch, rather than trying to find good things to say about the film, because I was like, I know I could talk Spaceballs for days. It'd be fine, right?
Yet you're finding something negative?
I was actually looking for a reason why the critics voted this one down.
Okay.
I was. And I think Lone Star is one of the characters that is in question.
Why?
Hear me out. Okay?
Yes.
So Barf is clearly a take on Chewbacca, right? Princess Vespa, it's Princess Leia, right? Dot Matrix is C-3PO, right? You know, President Scroob is the Emperor. Dark Helmet's Darth Vader. Colonel Sanders is Moff Tarkin. I get it all. But Lone Star is an amalgamation of both Han Solo and Luke Skywalker.
What? He was the perfect scruffy nerf herder.
Okay, but who is the main star of Star Wars? It's Luke. It's about the Skywalkers. The thing is, if you're trying to make a blend of a Han Solo and Luke Skywalker character, yes, Bill Pullman can channel the Han very easily. But I think by trying to blend two characters into one, two characters who are kind of diametrically opposed in nature, right? Luke is ever the optimist. Any Star Wars fan knows they can hear the John Williams score as Luke is standing on that sand dune on Tatooine and looking at the twin suns as they set. You can hear the John Williams score, the optimist looking to the stars, looking to the future. Han, down on his luck, a smuggler, a scruff with a heart of gold. But they're two different people with two different ways of doing things. And then you try to blend that together. I think that's the only problem with this character. Like, let me ask you. I think Lone Star is definitely the Han Solo, right? Do you think this film needed a Luke spoof character?
I don't. And I don't think I was quite missing like the Luke angle, right? It was more about the relationship, the working relationship between, and the camaraderie between Barf and
Lone Star, yeah.
And Lone Star. But that was pretty much the Han and Chewie.
So you're doing a Star Wars film without a character to parallel or to mirror the main star of the films.
Yeah, but it didn't have to be exact.
No,
it told a story without him.
And I tell you, I would watch a Han Solo and Chewbacca movie. Like, I've read a lot of the Star Wars Expanded Universe books. I have. I have. Right? But And there are books that primarily focus on Han and Chewie, and that's great. I don't know if you're trying to do a parody film. I don't know if you can exclude the main character, right? It would be like if you tried to make an Avengers spoof and you didn't have someone trying to be Captain America. It's a miss. I understand trying to amalgamate the character and shrink your cast, but I think it's a slight miss. And again, this is not on Bill Pullman. I thought he did a good job, but I think trying to amalgamate two of the three main Trinity characters of the Star Wars saga, the original Star Wars trilogy, into one? No, you needed a Luke, or I don't know. Or you had to get rid of some of the optimism from Lone Star. Next, we move on to John Candy, who was, his full name, Bartholomew. Your thoughts on Barf?
Absolutely fantastic. It was so nice to rewatch this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was kind of like Barf was an iconic character that only John Candy could pull off.
Yeah. This is one of those movies, you know, and we talked about this when we covered, you know, movies starring John Candy on a previous Keep Watch Pass episode. John Candy has the ability to just show up on camera and you smile. He had that way about him. And Barf, I think, is one of the most lovable characters of his entire filmography. There was just something so fun, goofy, and I hate to say, Barf is the bestest boy.
Well, there was that scene where he's introducing himself to the princess, and just how he's like, "I'm Barf," and he has that great smile.
I'm half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
I'm a Mog. and where, you know, he's reluctantly carrying all of the essential suitcases, you know, and he's just like, you could tell he's angry, but he's still so damn lovable and still looks happy.
Think about it.
He's a good boy.
Anyone who does a montage of John Candy to show just how genuinely warm on camera he was, that scene where he's on top of Princess Vespa's ship while they're caught in the tractor beam, after he does the "I'm my own best friend" line, and just that smile on his face, that smile, I guarantee you, is in every single montage ever done by John or about John Candy. It's
iconic.
It's the smile tells you everything you need to know about Barf. And he gets the best lines too. He really does. Daphne Zuniga, who played Princess Vespa, clearly from a physical perspective, a great choice to play a Princess Leia type character given the hair and the look. Your thoughts on her?
She was great. She was just, again, she's absolutely the perfect caricature of Princess Leia.
Mm-hmm. There were parts of the film where I didn't like the script, right? Where, especially when it got to the playful, coyful love dialogue when they're stuck on the desert world kind of thing. And I'm just like, wow, I should really apologize to George Lucas for everything I said about, you know, Anakin complaining about sand getting everywhere. You know, it was slightly awkward, but there were moments where she was fantastic. But I think the only thing playing or working against Daphne Zuniga's performance in this is that Lone Star is best in this movie when he's playing off against Barf, right? John Candy has that ability to, you know, bring up everyone in the scene, right? Princess Vespa and most of her scenes are playing against Dot Matrix, you know, someone in a gold suit, which also shout out to Lorraine Yarnell, who was actually in the suit. You're playing against a non-expressive character. So you kind of have to do all the work yourself. And there are scenes where it's fantastic, right? The scene where she, you know, gets her hair singed and then she, you know, destroys everybody. That's a fantastic Princess Vespa scene. And I don't know really of anyone in 1987 that you could put in that role, maybe Ione Skye, who was in Say Anything. But this is a good role for her. She was a perfect fit for it.
The character started to lose me in the re-wedding scene, where she still wasn't completely sure about not wanting to marry Prince Valium. And when Prince Lone Star shows up, she's like, no, maybe, okay.
I saw that as playful. I saw that as, you made me wait this damn long, and I'm going to make you wait a couple of extra seconds before of course I say yes. Like, you saw how fast she turned and pushed Valium away, and that was it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I wanted to see her like jump into his arms and run off again.
Yeah, but if you're playing a Princess Leia type character, Princess Leia would never do that. She wouldn't. She would mess with you.
No, she's all about I love you. I know.
No. It was Han. It was Han who said I know.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Princess Leia made sure that she told Han that she loved him before he was frozen in carbonite, but it was Han who said I know. Right? Also, how is that not played off in this? Right? Oh. There's a couple of missed opportunities.
I'm sure the legal department didn't want to allow too much.
But it's not legal. I mean, keep in mind, and again, this is according to IMDb, George Lucas loved this script in this film so much that he was allowing things. He was helping Mel Brooks to make this. There's the scene near the end of the film where Lone Star and Barf are at the diner right before the chestbuster scene, and you see the exterior of the spaceport. Take a look very closely. The Millennium Falcon is parked there. That doesn't happen if George Lucas isn't on board. Joan Rivers has the voice of Dot Matrix. Your thoughts on her?
I love how they made Dot Matrix look like Joan Rivers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she was contracted to be the voice before they went into production, so they actually designed the suit to look like Joan Rivers.
I know, but it was literally like, you might as well have just painted Joan gold because, yeah, it was perfect.
They wasted all the gold paint on yogurt. But this is another one of those situations where, and again, this is rewatching this film like 39 years later. I think Dot Matrix has some of the weakest comedy lines in this.
No, I thought she was funny. I mean, you don't want the secondary character to overshine the princess.
Okay, but C-3PO does have some of the, how do I put this? British proper snark lines in the Star Wars trilogy.
Or were you looking for a little bit more animated or animatronic anxiety?
I don't know. I mean, go back to the scene where Vespa shoots all the Spaceball soldiers after getting her hair singed. That whole line of like, it was good enough for Rambo. I'm like, that line kind of landed a little flat for me. Yes, the Virgin Alarm scene, classic. But I found of the four, the Dot Matrix lines were the least funny. And again, I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is I'm trying to see where the critics thought this film wasn't good enough and how someone could even think about not just nominating, but having win the Stinker's Bad Movie Award. Like, I don't understand. I truly don't understand. That I think the tomatometer aside, because critics, whatever. The Stinkers? Nowhere in the history of ever should this film ever be considered the worst of anything. Even the Razzies got it right. Listen to the list of movies nominated for Worst Picture at the Razzies in this same year. Okay? Who's That Girl was nominated again. Ishtar was nominated. Leonard Part 6 won. But also nominated were Jaws: The Revenge and a movie called Tough Guys Don't Dance, done by Canon Films. And anytime you say Canon Films, you know. The only thing I could see this film being nominated for anything, and it wasn't, was maybe worst original song for the Spaceballs song. We're the Spaceballs.
Okay, but I loved how incredibly campy that was.
Oh, it was campy.
It suited the movie, though.
Yeah, I just found it a little cheesy, but just for the record, the nominees for worst original song that year at the Razzies: You Can Be a Garbage Pail Kid from the Garbage Pail Kids movie, and we've talked about that one. Let's Go to Heaven in My Car by Brian Wilson from Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. We talked about that one. $1 Million Mystery from $1 Million Mystery. El Coco Loco from Who's That Bad? And I Want Your Sex from Beverly Hills Cop 2 by George Michael. And that was the one that won. So Spaceballs didn't get a single nomination at the Razzies that year. And yet it won Stinker's Bad Movie Awards. I don't understand. Dick Van Patten as King Roland. Your thoughts on him?
Oh my God. He was fantastic. Picture him as a king, right? A king who should be a little more authoritative, a little more commanding. And he was just such a teddy bear. He was such a pushover for his little girl.
Yeah.
She steals his car, runs away from a wedding that he no doubt had to fit the bill.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, he's offering, was it 1 million space bucks to...
Well, reluctantly offering 1 million space bucks. Yeah, but can you try to, get the car too?
Right? He wanted the car returned.
Well, clearly he loved that car with the way he was describing it.
He loved his little girl.
The casting of Dick Van Patten in this is fantastic. He is, perfectly fit for that role. And this is one of those things too. Mel Brooks can kind of come across as, your dad's favorite comedian kind of thing, right? So for those who might be a little bit younger, maybe some of the jokes are kind of a little bit older, more dad jokes than anything else. And, even looking back at this now, at the age that I'm at now, I could sit there and say, okay, there's some dad jokes in here. There's some dad jokes. But that doesn't mean they're not funny. Let's be honest. Listeners, it's okay. You can be honest with us. You all love a good dad joke. The only people who don't love good dad jokes are the kids that the dads are telling the jokes to.
You know what's funny, though? I watched this movie as a kid, and then to watch it again now, no longer a kid, I was still laughing.
Yeah, you're still kid size, though, so I
was still laughing, though, at all the same jokes, all the same beats. It is a funny movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of the jokes, very few of the jokes are very, very, very dated. Okay. The whole scene with the twins and getting their names mixed up and then chew your gum. It's one of those you kind of had to be there, double mint twins kind of thing. I get it. Some of the jokes are of their time, but that's what parody movies do. Parody movies are supposed to have of the moment jokes, right? And remember, we were covering some of the movies last year, right? And some of the jokes were very much of their time, to the point of 10 years later, it's like, oh, I sort of remember that being funny at the time. Maybe not. But, because we're of a certain vintage and we kind of grew up in that time, we remember the double mint commercials with the double mint twins. I get it. 39 years later, I can only imagine what they're going to put in Spaceballs 2. Mel Brooks as both Yogurt and President Scroob. And by the way, for those of you who are, wordsmiths, if you will, just know that Scroob is an anagram of Brooks. Your thoughts on Mel Brooks in these roles?
How do you not love Yogurt? Oh my God. The Schwartz. Spaceballs, the movie. Spaceballs, the coloring book.
Okay, I love that scene.
Spaceballs, the flamethrower.
That scene's
Kids
iconic.
Love this one.
That scene is utterly iconic. I fully agree with you. Every other scene with yogurt, I'm like, meh.
Really?
I preferred Mel Brooks as President Scroob. And I think it's because of the combination of him and Rick Moranis and George Weiner. The three of them together on screen at the same time. It was like the Three Stooges of evil. And I kind of got a kick out of that.
Oh, the scene where they're trying to find like getaway pods was just hilarious.
Right? Meanwhile, we're all subjected to, we're the Spaceballs. Watch out. No. The three of them together, they played off each other so well. I mean, Mel Brooks and Rick Moranis, the two of them together, two comedic geniuses put together. As Yogurt, he doesn't have that comedic bounce back going on, right? It's more, and this is part of the hero's journey. He's the wizened old man along the way that helps the hero see the path to victory kind of thing.
Yeah, but when Yoda was introduced, he didn't have anyone to feed off of either. He was kind of solo in his swamp.
Okay, but Star Wars is not a comedy, right? Yoda could have been really bad, right? Think about it. You take Star Wars and you're like, all right, cool. It's the hit of the year. It's everyone's favorite movie of 1977, and then 1980 rolls around, and we're gonna put Luke in a swamp with a Muppet. If it wasn't for Frank Oz and the puppetry work, and Mark Hamill playing against that very seriously, taking it like a real character, Empire Strikes Back would have flopped and would not have been the best movie of the original trilogy and maybe the second best Star Wars film of all time.
Okay, but how fantastic was it at the end where the realization that the ring, that, it was just like a cheap bubblegum
Cracker Jack box, yep.
ring, it was only a symbol that the Schwartz or, the Force was within.
That's a little cliche, but
I thought it was brilliant. Oh my God. I thought it was so fun.
A can of liquid Schwartz hidden in the glove compartment. Okay, cool, fine, all good. I just preferred the President's Group character in comparison to Yogurt. I was going to say Yoda, but no, to Yogurt.
Okay, well, I respectfully disagree. I liked Yogurt. Not that I didn't like the President's character, but there was just something.
What are you, Terry Crews now? Terry loves Yogurt.
There was
99.
There was something so perfectly it was almost like to honor the character of Yoda.
Well, no, I get that part. I'm curious. Spaceballs 2. I wonder if we're going to get baby yogurt.
Ooh.
Would that be a yogurt tube?
It'll be like the little drinkable yogurt, the Danone kids drink.
God.
But no, mimicking or duplicating a character, isn't that a sign of flattery?
Well, I mean, the very existence of Spaceballs is a sign of flattery to everything that was the Star Wars franchise at the time, right? The original Star Wars trilogy is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Definitely of the 80s, 70s and 80s, but of course, as big as you get, when you have someone of prestige and a history of spoofing almost out of a place of love, it's kind of like when you're a musician, right? And you have a hit song and it's okay, cool. And then Weird Al Yankovic does a cover. That's how you know you made it, right? Now, Mel Brooks at the time was making some really good spoof movies. Dracula Dead and Loving It, but Robin Hood Men in Tights was fantastic. It's called classic, right? If Mel Brooks is spoofing your genre, you did it right. Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet, your thoughts?
I can't say enough about how funny he is and how incredibly, I love that he had the glasses too.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take him seriously or literally be afraid. Although the row of assholes was pretty frightened that they would,
Well, they were about to get zapped in the nuts.
Yeah.
Right? Which, he had it coming. Also, notice in that scene when it's like, how many assholes are there here? Only one person doesn't put their hand up. There's only one non-asshole in that room.
But he was surrounded by assholes.
I mean, this is a no-brainer pick, right? Rick Moranis is comedy god, let's be honest. But the fact that you put someone, and I don't want to say diminutive actor, because at 5'6", he's not diminutive, but when you compare him to David Prowse, the man who was in the actual Darth Vader suit in the original trilogy, who stood 6'6", that's half the gag right there, right? Big helmet, little body. Like, Dark Helmet was his own Funko Pop before Funko Pops were a thing.
Right? Oh my God, I was thinking that when I was watching it last night.
Is there a Dark Helmet Funko Pop?
Oh.
I don't know if there is, but if there isn't, there has to be one. There's gotta be. There has to be a Dark Helmet Funko Pop. Dear listeners, please let me know if there's a Dark Helmet Funko Pop out there, and if there is, do you have it? Because that would be, and if there isn't, there's going to be the minute it comes out. Has to be.
I personally want the Pizza the Hut Funko Pop.
I mean, that was a gag based on name alone. That's part of the problem here, is that some of the gags and some of the jokes are, the Pizza the Hut was kind of easy pickings, low-hanging fruit, if you will, or low-hanging pepperoni, as the case may be. Yes, having Dom DeLuise as the voice of Pizza the Hut, perfect. And let's be honest, that suit was a little gross.
It was melty cheese.
Okay, but there was pepperoni dripping off of him during the scene. If you ever want to, wean yourself off of eating pizza for a bit, just watch this film. Watch that scene over and over again, and you'll never touch a damn slice of za in your life.
I don't know. I thought he looked delicious, but it was a little creepy that his right-hand man was eating him.
You're delicious.
Yeah.
It was a cute little joke. Oh, Pizza the Hut. I said Jabba the Hutt. I get it. And that's where the joke ended. And that's where I say that some of this is living in dad joke territory. But Rick Moranis' Dark Helmet, he perfected the side eye in this. And the helmet itself is comedy gold.
I wonder if he had a backup helmet because he crashed his.
There were a few, I think.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, when it comes to Dot Matrix, there were 6 different suits, and I think they went through all of them during production.
Oh, maybe they got sand in the joints.
They definitely got sand in the joints of some, but yeah, it's it takes a mountain. It takes a bunch of wardrobe to make a film like this. And then you have George Weiner, who played Colonel Sanders. Your thoughts on him?
He was great. I mean, he was probably the most serious character of the entire movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, this character is supposed to be a play on Grand Moff Tarkin. I'm glad that it wasn't Steve Martin. Hear me out, okay? Yes, I would have loved Steve Martin in this film, sure. But I don't know if as Colonel Sanders, right? Because to have Steve Martin in the mix with Mel Brooks and Rick Moranis, it's almost, it's a little kind of Three Amigos-ish. But you don't want Colonel Sanders to upstage Dark Helmet, right? Dark Helmet is the comedy gold, right? In every good comedy duo, there's got to be the funny guy and the straight guy. Colonel Sanders needed to be the straight guy to set up all the fun Dark Helmet humor.
You're right. And Steve Martin would have been way too recognizable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could see why Steve Martin was considered. And again, probably Mel Brooks had Steve Martin in mind when writing some of those things. Because some of those lines, you could almost hear a Steve Martin delivery. But I think having George Weiner in there to not upstage or overshadow Dark Helmet makes sense, right? This is kind of like Ghostbusters Answer the Call, right? You can't have 4 Venkmans. Someone's got to be the Winston Zedmore. Someone's got to be the Egon, right? Not everyone can be the crazy. Someone's got to be the setup person for the joke, right? Also, there's no way Grand Moff Tarkin is overshadowing Darth Vader. It's not happening.
Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere is now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Trying to find some real in all the noise.
You always do. The artist you know, the story you don't. See Golden Globes nominee Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. Critics are saying it's a career-defining performance.
Let's burn this place down, Johnny.
Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. Rated PG-13.
Okay, so we've got through the main cast here. So I have to ask you, Carrie. Again, I'm still in disbelief at this. So help me out. We know the Spaceballs works. We know it's funny. We know it's classic. It's a cult classic. We know 39 years later that we're still enjoying watching this film. So what doesn't work? What were the critics looking at with this? Like, think of it with a real critical eye. Take your love of the movie out of the equation. Is there anything in this that didn't hit with you?
I honestly don't have an answer for that because I am 110% here to defend this movie.
You're saying that every single joke and every single one-liner and every single moment in this film is perfection.
After a rewatch, yes. I can't see a thing wrong with this movie. It did its job in honoring a movie franchise in again, imitation is the highest form of flattery, and it hit all the notes. I mean, it had them combing the desert, it had the sand people, leading, like saving their lives and leading them to yogurt for safety and guidance. And it was, I mean, the flying scenes, it was even from the opening where you see the grandness of how big the ship was.
Mm-hmm. And a shout out to Industrial Light and Magic, because George Lucas actually made sure that Mel Brooks got all the help that he needed in order to be able to make this film. But I mean, there are still some jokes in here and one-liners that don't necessarily land for me. The whole, as they're about to change the ship into Mega Maid, and I can't remember who says it, Ready Kafka? And it's like, you really got to dig deep for that joke. Like you do. And even like I watched it again and I'm just like, I don't understand why that's funny. And then of course you read up on it. It's like, oh, it's still not funny. Right. There are some lines in this that are maybe a little too over the heads of the general public. Right. And then some that are just almost like, there's almost like a beat in the edit where it's like, I'll admit, I say some pretty dumb things in here that I think are funny. And then I'll follow it with, am I right? But you shouldn't be doing that with a movie, right? Movies shouldn't be dumb like me. Movies should, I don't know. Like the whole, Druish princess. Funny. She doesn't look Druish. It's surfaced a little bit. The Doublemint twins, okay, whatever, right? Made fun 39 years ago. I mean, but you have some of the funniest scenes in this, though. The merchandising scene from Yogurt, as you pointed out. The scene where they get the VHS of Spaceballs, the movie, to find out where everyone is, and they're watching it in real time. That's brilliant.
Even off the top with the font, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller. And then the last line that's, if you can read this, you don't need glasses.
Okay. I'm gonna. This may be one of the second funniest movie crawls. Maybe the funniest movie crawl ever still is The Mousetrap. If you remember that one from a couple years ago. Mickey's Mousetrap. That was hilarious, where they were like, trying to disclaimer their way through everything. That was brilliant. But I mean, like, even some of the lines in this, right? I'm your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
So what does that make us?
Absolutely nothing. Or evil will always triumph because good is dumb. There are so many, even like little throwaway lines like from Rick Moranis, like, come on, man. Like, you don't really realize how often you're quoting this film because some of these lines are in the lexicon of today's comedic humor. But it's not 100% film. There is no such thing as 100% film. Just as there's no such thing as a 0% film. And we've watched some bad movies. But this film definitely falls into the unfairly maligned, even though I could see where some people wouldn't get some of the jokes. But 62% as an average? No, 64%. A 46 Metacritic score. That's the thing. The critics seem harshest on this. The fans love it. And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter a damn what the critics think. If the public loves it, that's all that matters. And not everyone has to love it. But critics, you're wrong. All right. Now that we have defended Spaceballs, not like it needed defending from a bunch of idiot Canadians in a basement with microphones, but still, here we are. Carrie, it's time. Might be easy, might be hard, but who's your MVP of Spaceballs, the movie?
I'm going to go with the good boy, Bartholomew. John Candy. Again, we covered, I don't need to remind our listeners, but you know what? His role, his kindness, and his incredible presence was so iconic in this role. I mean, he was absolutely perfect. He played well. Even the scene where he gets his paw crushed by the yogurt statue. He never gets angry. He's still friendly and joyful. I mean, he's limping away. Poor pup. But honestly, John Candy, without a doubt, is my VIP of this movie.
It's hard to not pick John Candy. And yes, I am picking John Candy. But it was a toss-up between him and Rick Moranis. Like, I don't think Rick Moranis should be left out of the conversation for the MVP. Because that Vader parody is brilliant. Now, here's the question. Spaceballs 2 is coming out in 2027, 40 years after the original. With Mel Brooks, Bill Pullman, Rick Moranis, and Daphne Zuniga all returning. And George Weiner as Colonel Sanders. Should they make this canon accurate and call it Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money? Or should they go with the tagline that they put on one of the posters that comes out for it, The Schwartz Awakens?
Ooh. I love revising and doing the tagline, The Search for More Money. Because you know what? Shut up and take my money. I know that you'll be with me. I'm so excited about the sequel. I am so excited. Like,
are you scared though?
It's time. About what? About not liking it?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I trust that it's time, and this is a labor of love, and that they are going to make it awesome.
See, I'm worried. I am. Because if you remember not that long ago, History of the World Part 2 came out. Of course, the sequel, the follow-up to History of the World Part 1. And while it's not, a straight linear storytelling film, I found the jokes meh in History of the World Part 2. I found I was bored with it.
I'm going to go into this with a completely open mind because you know what? It's no matter what they do with it, there will be a certain nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm certain that the Star Wars universe has given so much more, more to work with. So I think it's going to be great.
The other thing, too, is that it's actually not being directed by Mel Brooks. He's in it and he's co-writing it, but it's actually being directed by Josh Greenbaum, who has in the past directed Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, and is also apparently working on the live-action animated film adaptation of Care Bears.
Ooh, I'm excited about that too.
All right, Carrie, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, we want to know if you're excited for Spaceballs 2 or if you are trepidatious and hesitant about it. Hit us up on social media at NotThatBadCast or go to our website, notthatbadcast.com. Let us know what you think. But until next time, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is so bad that there is no way in Planet Druidia that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadCast. Go to our website and drop us a line. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.